Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Reed. Hall should be joining us for this episode at some point. I'm sure he will be here. The title of this episode is The Best Has Yet to Come, and the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. But on this beautiful Sunday, and I can't say beautiful, it's storming here as a weather advisory warning, but we are joined by Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report to kind of help us on this bye week. How are you doing this beautiful Sunday, brother?
I'm doing well. Always appreciate you guys having me on.
No
Yes,
Commanders
sir.
lost today.
Right.
It is a good thing to go into. Hopefully the NFC East doesn't do all that well. But other good news that the Bears won. So right now they're sitting at 5-8, which I think
They have
should
the
push.
seventh pick as of right now.
So right now I think that should push Washington down if not. But they're close to it. That being said, what should Washington do with that top 5 pick, Ryan? The big discussion right now is, should you keep Howell or build around Howell with that top 5 pick, or should you be looking at quarterback? What are your feelings with this?
Yeah, I think we're going to get those answers hopefully in the next month or so with whatever they do up top. I think everything is going to revolve around who's GM, who's head coach, who's the OC, who's DC. And then I think we're going to be able to iron things out from that perspective. But I wouldn't flat Commanders fans out there that look at this draft class and top potential 5 pick, and you're going to see what other teams do in front of you. And you see Caleb Williams and you see Drake May. And for me, probably QB3 on my board is going to be the Heisman winner and Jaden Daniels out of LSU. For me, has a lot of parallels actually to RG3 when he came out of Baylor. So that may excite or may disappoint some Commanders fans, depending how you view 2012 and RG3's tenure in Washington. But that quarterback, tackle, edge, I think those are going to be the popular picks. But overall, they can have as many picks as they want. I just think, guys, you have to learn how to evaluate the talent and get the right talent in the building to what they want to do on either side of the ball before we can expect anything more.
Yeah, and you touched on Jaden Daniels a little bit. He's a popular name that's floating around. And every year you see quarterbacks randomly fly up the board, especially towards the end of the season. And obviously it's warranted. He had a fantastic season. What is it about Jaden Daniels? Like, we know about Caleb Williams and Drake May, but what is it about Jaden Daniels that kind of gets people excited?
Yeah, I think he changes the math defense against defenses. And I think that's what the ultimate goal is of an NFL offense. And even if Eric Bieniemy is in town, I think about when Washington drafted Sam Howell, Eric was not in town. So as much as we've seen the progression from Sam, and I think he is the guy moving forward, I think there are other bigger holes. Yeah. Jaden Daniels just has the ability to where he can run the ball, he can throw the ball, and one of the most accurate and beautiful deep ball throwers in this class. And you can't just say, yeah, we're going to put, like we faced Michael Penix, we're going to rush 3 and we're going to drop 8, or we're going to rush 4 and drop 7. You have to keep another guy in the box or two to counter his ability as a runner. Now, he is not Lamar Jackson as far as that side-to-side agility. He's more of that RG3 linear athlete, straight-ahead speed to where he doesn't even have the body armor to take a lot of hits. And I want to see him learn how to slide if he gets to the next level and if he is in the Burgundy and gold. But it's been nice when you evaluate him to throw to guys like Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, both guys going to be taking the top 60 picks in this year's draft. Malik on day 1 as a day 1 lock right now. But when you just watch his game as a dual threat talent and how you can change the math defensively with the weapons you have in Washington, if they do bring back Curtis Samuel, that should excite teams, not just Washington, but others inside the top 10 as well.
Right. It's also kind of weird, as you brought up 2012, the parallels between that. You've got a franchise quarterback that's been heavily scouted and everybody says he's like the guy, generational guy in Caleb Williams, similar to kind of Andrew Luck. All of a sudden you got this mobile quarterback, the Heisman winner, rising up the boards a little bit. So I'm just saying history repeats itself. That's what I've always heard. I don't know if it's true, but it looks like it.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels is obviously benefiting from a good offensive line that is being able to protect him, which would be possibly an issue if Washington were to take him in the top 5 with some good offensive linemen there. But let's bring this back to Washington, as I know as depressing as everything is right now. The future is bright, and the best has yet to come. But that being said, Ryan, on this football team, there's names of players like I would say Fedarian Mathis, Andre Jones, and others that I would like. They're young, and I would like to see a lot more of their play because you haven't seen that much of them so far this season. Going down the stretch, you've only won 4 games at this point. You know where things lie at this, but you want to see the young guys. So who are some guys that you're looking at saying, I would like to see more of them to see about the future moving forward?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. And even outside at edge, right? You talked about Andre Jones and KJ Henry's flashed a little bit these last couple of weeks, but both James Smith-Williams and Casey Toohill are going to hit free agency this year. And now, look, Chase Young will be a free agent as well in San Francisco. That's a whole other conversation. How you want to pay him? We'll see about that. But Washington is going to have probably the most cap space to spend. Now, I'm not saying go full Vinny Zerato and pay Albert Hainsworth and OJ Atogwe and Jason Taylor. I'm not saying do any of that. And find guys that fit. But for the young guys, look moving forward into the Jets, the Cowboys, Niners games, and of course next week against the Rams, all I think tough games for Washington. Who's going to show up? Right? I think it's Andre. I think it's KJ. And I even would like to see some more Chris Rodriguez in the backfield because Antonio Gibson's a free agent as well. And I think he is on his way out. So for me, it's those 3 guys. And then the middle of the defense guys as well. The only guy under contract at linebacker is right now is Jamin Davis. David Mayo, Cody Barton, Khaleke Hudson, they're all expected to be free agents. And I want to see more of Khaleke as we move forward in these next 4 games because he is that hybrid second level, third level defender that played the jack spot at Michigan that Dax Hill did just a few years ago before he was drafted by Cincinnati.
Yeah, another name, Cole Turner, would love to see more of. Would love John Bates and Logan Thomas, but the young kid moving forward, you'd like to see him produce a little bit more. Getting 1 or 2 targets a game isn't really helping him all that much.
Yeah. And I'm going to shift it right back to the draft because I don't care about Washington right now. They disappoint me. No, I'm just kidding. I do. They're cool, but we've talked about it all. There's only so much to talk about with Washington at the moment. If you are, let's say something unforeseen happened. Let's say the Bears move on from Justin Fields. They're taking a quarterback at 1. This is just a hypothetical. Let's say the Patriots stay at 2. They're taking a quarterback. Let's say the Cardinals trade out of 3. Whoever trades up there, they trade up there to get one of these 3 quarterbacks. Washington now has the choice between Olu Fashanu, Bowers, and Joe Alt. And a handful, everybody else, pretty much, I guess, technically. What route are you taking if you're the GM?
Yeah, I think even if Marvin Harrison Jr. is on the board,
yeah, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Correct,
now,
right.
Here's my thing with Marvin, and it comes back to the conversation last year when we had the conversations of does Washington take Bijan Robinson if he's there at 16?
Right. Yeah,
I will never be upset of taking a talent like Marvin Harrison Jr. in this offense, especially if you're losing Curtis Samuel. Right. Because Marvin right now, I don't want to hate on Terry McLaurin. I love Terry McLaurin. I love Jahan Dotson. But Marvin is a big-time wide receiver 1 at the next level that you think could be a potential Hall of Famer down the line. And
he's a type we don't have either. 6'4", like a freak of nature. Yeah,
absolutely. But for me, guys, it is at tackle. And I think when I put Olu Fashanu on the board and I put Joe Alt on the board, you know what you're going to get out of Joe Alt, a Golden Domer out of Notre Dame. The tackles go on and on as far as the years past. And I watch Olu, and I put on the tape of Olu against Ohio State and Joe Alt against Ohio State.
Thank you.
Both guys, but back-to-back against JT Tuimoloau. So it offers you some parallels as far as what you're going to get. And for me right now, if you want a higher floor guy with a little bit less athleticism, I'm going to take Joe Alt. But if you want somebody, a local kid from Gonzaga, that more athleticism, that still has some refinement to his game, but is ultra smooth and pass pro, I'm going to take Olu Fashanu as your future 5, 6, 7-time Pro Bowler. So I think the focus for me inside the top 5 would be tackle. You stick with Sam, you give him some damn protection that he needs because you're seeing it right now with Bryce Young in Carolina. But Marvin Harrison right there, I'm not going to be mad if they were to take that type of talent, and nobody should, regardless of team need.
Right.
That was a copy and paste of exactly what I said about Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu. I was tired of people telling me that Olu was an ex-coming of Trent Williams. It's like, wait a minute, now I have to supply you with these couple picks that I saw against Ohio State. That doesn't look like Trent there. But that being said, let's say that it's not offensive tackle. Let's say it's not quarterback. And I know we're going to keep this with the draft. I know everyone out there wants to talk about Washington. I'm sorry, but just looking forward, we got Ryan here who's a draft expert, so we'd like to be able to pick his mind about
I get pumped when Ryan comes on.
But somebody like Brock Bowers, I've actually been able to watch a couple games from this season. Obviously, a very interesting piece. Do you think that he is going to warrant this sort of top 10 draft pick? And if they aren't going offensive tackle, would you be mad if they went the Brock Bowers route?
I would not be mad. However, he is not the same athlete that he's been since the injury.
Okay.
And That's going to scare some teams. And I've heard it's already scaring some teams with some medical red flags for teams. Now, some teams may have him as a top 10 player, but all 32 team boards are going to be different coming into this process. And by no means is this the tight end class that we saw last year, right?
Big drop between Bowers and the next guy.
And I would take Brock Bowers over every single tight end that went last year before the Michael Mayers of the world, the Sam Laportas, Dalton Kincaid. I would take him before them. However, my focus, guys, is as we move into the second round and the third round, and a name I want you to keep an eye on is Jaheim Bell from Florida State, that H-back type of YF flex chess piece on offense we're going to see at the Senior Bowl this year. And I'm really excited to see him work. Transfer from South Carolina, a flex weapon in Eric Bieniemy's offense. We've talked about it a lot. They just don't have that right now. They have a lot of big physical guys. They don't have the matchup piece. We talked about Antonio Gibson potentially being that. He hasn't. But Jaheim Bell could potentially be that guy day two, later portions of day two in this offense if they don't go Brock Bowers inside the top 10, which may warrant that type of selection and that type of capital.
Yeah. And another thing, you look at edge rusher in this class, and different sites have different rankings on some of these guys, but who is your top edge rusher? And is there anybody in this class that you think is going to be like top 5 pick, or is there guys barely top 10?
Yeah. Can I add on to that? And
no,
if you weren't going to go edge for the draft, would you in your mind go with free agency because like Josh Allen and others are available? If you had to compare the two,
yeah, right now I would probably prioritize free agency at edge.
Yeah, okay. Draft as of right now should be really good for edge rushers.
Absolutely, and it depends with even a guy at the top, like with Daniil Hunter. Does he want to go to a competitor? Does he want to go to potentially with Washington? But we all know, guys, that money talks. I mean, let's just ask Shohei Ohtani and his $700 million deal. Ask him to share a little bit of money with everybody else in America. But no, he absolutely deserves it. I'm a baseball guy too, so I love me some Shohei Ohtani.
He's making less than half of that. But after taxes, it's just insane.
Like, yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny that Ohtani is like the world-class version of Reed. He's the first switch hitter to make big money where Reed is still broke. You know, it's unfortunate.
Well, he's not just a switch hitter; he's also a pitcher as well.
Oh, okay.
So and dominant one at that. He's unbelievable.
But no, I for my edge guys is a guy down at the Senior Bowl, and Jim Nagy's gonna be extremely happy talking about these guys that are gonna be down in Mobile. But my top edge guy is Leatu Latu from UCLA, and the reason why I say that is you watch the Oregon State tape against Talise Fuaga, who may be a day one pick at right tackle, and that's not the prettiest tape for Leatu, but it's the ways in which he can impact a game when you're not getting sacks. Because sometimes we talk about the edge guys to where they're a little bit prima donnas, to where the effort's sometimes not there, if they're not able to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. But you ask him to make plays in the fringe areas. You ask him to chase the backside. You can tell he watches film. He consistently understands where if they're going backside, where the pullers are coming from, and he'll attack that gap downhill. He played some 3-4 outside linebacker to where he's working the fringe areas and coverage. I like those types of guys because you can pin your ears back, hand in the dirt, standing up, and his pass rush repertoire for me is the most refined in this class. So for me, that's why he is edge one.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing too for me, guys, I want to see individuals show up and compete pre-draft process wise. A lot of guys sit back on their laurels, say, I'll prep for pro day and we'll find out where I go on draft day. Leatu's going down to the Senior Bowl to where I know there's a lot of good tackles going down to Mobile, but they may be exposed a little bit in those one-on-one scenarios, but that shows me that he's going to show up and compete. And I like that in players that I could potentially take if I'm Washington in the top 15 picks.
Absolutely. And then this past weekend, Peyton Wilson won the Butt Kiss Award, I believe it was, for the ACC from NC State. Right now he's projected around a third-round pick, but obviously he's probably going to jump up a little bit. I watched a little bit on him. But that being said, Ryan, Washington right now has a lot of picks in the top 90, top 100 picks. Who are some guys in there like Peyton Wilson that you could see added to this group of this team to be able to help them get over the hump? Because like you said, Jamin Davis is the only linebacker on the roster that's contracted into next year.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a surprise with the Clemson linebacker Barrett Carter going back to school. So Peyton's really jumped up in that facet. I think it is Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Peyton, and Edrin Cooper out of Texas A&M.
Love Edrin Cooper.
Yeah, as your top 3 linebackers in this class. And I just want to take a sec to talk about Peyton Wilson, guys, because I don't think there's a guy. I fell in love with Tank Dell during the process last year. Mm-hmm. He was my guy. Can't wait to see him get healthy and back for 2024 in Houston. But Peyton Wilson is absolutely going to be my guy for this draft class. I can't say enough good things about him. And there's a certain narrative that surrounds certain guys with high effort, high motor guys, and specifically what they look like. Peyton Wilson is a hell of a football player that can play in any type of defense. He can play that overhang defender. He can attack in the A and B gaps. His effort, I want to make sure I'm clear here, is absolutely unbelievable. Louisville tape, Notre Dame tape, he's chasing plays 50, 60 yards behind him where he's running past 15, 20 players on the field. It's unbelievable. Damn. He is super smart. The depth that he gets on RPO concepts, which he's going to see a lot in the NFL, his head is constantly on a swivel to pick up crossers behind his head. I see that a lot, and the inability of that with Jamin Davis, where he gets lost in the shuffle a lot. Peyton Wilson is fantastic. And I think Washington, I think he's going to be a second-round guy moving into the back end of the second round. You want a linebacker to come in and be an immediate plug-and-play weapon that you need, whoever comes in to run the defense. Peyton Wilson, I think, is absolutely that guy. And to expand, Kyle, as well, potentially other guys, a sleeper in this class for me that I think is going to get some more attention is Cam Hart from Notre Dame. Now, there's a lot of attention on Benjamin Morrison, his running mate, that's going to be taken probably in the first round next year. But his ability against Marvin Harrison Jr. that I watched in that Ohio State tape, he's got the length. He's got 32.5-inch verified arms. He can run. He's sticky in man. And I can teach you how to play zone. You get a sticky man corner, you can evolve on the outside. Yeah. Not afraid to stick his face in the mud in the run game. Extremely smart kid as well. I've gotten to know him a little bit during this process. Humble and just wants an opportunity. And you know what you're going to get from Marcus Freeman recruited guys, at Notre Dame. So Cam Hart, corner from Notre Dame as well. That day 2, early day 3 bucket is an absolute area to watch for him.
And then to piggyback off that, your Peyton Wilson comment, because obviously NC State used him all over the field. They used him as an edge, 3-4 linebacker. They used him as a Mike. They would also have him coming in, like obviously playing in the slot at times and as a QB spy. How do you see his transition to the NFL and position-wise?
Yeah, I think the Mike position at the NFL is a little bit extinct nowadays. There's no more of the Zach Thomases, Brian Urlachers, Mike Singletary, excuse me. I think his ability to play on the fringe areas, and then if you ask him just to play with one linebacker on the field, whether you want to be an even front, odd front, or if you want to run some 4-2-5, whatever you want to do in the middle of your defense, I just think Peyton Wilson can do that because you put in the athleticism, the ability as a football player, the ability to play downhill, and then be that third down guy to play in coverage and cover running backs and tight ends. That's what meshes it all for me. And when you look at the boxes to check for Peyton Wilson, the success and the production, the awards are all there, right? But then you turn on the tape and you watch him play, and the old eye test. It always comes down to the old eye test. He just is an immediate plug-and-play player in whatever defense that you want to run at the NFL level.
Yeah, just make sure you send me whatever all-22 film you have of him, because the only film I can find is like 2 games this year, and I want more. But that being said, to move on to our next question, there's a couple guys on this football team that have brothers in the draft that are projected to be in the 2nd to 3rd round kind of prospects. One being Patrick Paul from Houston, the left tackle. The other being, I forget his first name, Barton, the tackle at Duke. I think he plays right tackle. Tell us a little bit about those guys.
Graham Barton.
Yeah, so Patrick Paul, brother of Chris Paul. I watched the Texas tape 2 days ago, and Texas has a guy, number 91, Ethan Burke, true sophomore, named to know in these next couple classes. That first half was a little bit rough for Patrick Paul. Then you turn on the second half, and that's when you start to see why he had day 1 grades in the spring from Blesto and all those types of things you like to see as a potential franchise blindside tackle. And I got to know Patrick a little bit this offseason. There was a camp up in Minneapolis where all the top tackles and guards go and work out in the summer. Talked a little bit about Chris and got to know Pat a little bit. He looks the part, long, athletic, but there is refinement in his game. And you turn on that Texas tape, first half, second half, completely different players. And it shows me the potential of his ability and his feet and his hands to consistently win the leverage point, sink that butt down in the ground, and just holster guys to where the kid Ethan Burke beat him in the first half a bunch. The second half, the kid had no shot. So Patrick Paul, I think, is going to be a maybe potential fringe late round 1 guy, round 2 guy. And then Graham Barton is an extremely, extremely interesting evaluation as far as offensive linemen go, because he's looked upon with scouts right now as the number 1 center in this 2024 class. So that's where he's going to make his money. And he will also be down at the Senior Bowl with a guy like Zach Frazier as well.
Oh, so they're saying that he's not even going to play right tackle in the league.
No, he will not.
Okay. Immediately coming as a center. Okay.
Yes, he will be center at the next level. So heck of a ball player. And you look at these tackles, it's usually they're too big to play at guard or at center because they're not able to sink their hips. Think about Troy Fatanu at Washington. A little bit on the smaller side, but he's going to play guard at the next level. But Graham Barton, and you watch his hands, leverage points, always fiery. He's a run blocker before a pass blocker, in my opinion. Gap, zone, smart as a whip. Can't wait to see him down at the Senior Bowl when they get in the team sessions. He's communicating things left, right, picking out the mic, picking out where the safeties are. He can do those types of things, again, from the tackle spot to the center spot. So that's just a couple things on Graham Barton and Patrick Paul.
My man, that's why I like talking with you, Ryan. Last question I have for you. Bleacher Report came out with an article not too long ago saying that Terry McLaurin talked to Coach Eric Bieniemy and Ron Rivera regarding his frustrations. Have you read about that? Is there anything you can update us with that? I mean, obviously Terry has a good point. Obviously no catches or anything, but it's good that he did that rather than going to the media, right?
Yeah, no updates for me on that, and nothing I've heard out of there. I think Terry, and even up top in Washington, they keep lips pretty tight as far as everything that comes out of there. But knowing Terry for a little bit during my time at the initial stages of his career in Washington, he was one of the most humble guys, really the only guy I've ever met from a professional football perspective that thanked the media to come to his media scrums. I've never seen that in my life. So hopefully Terry is, I know he signed the new sparkling contract. He wants his targets. He wants his catches. He is deservedly so. And hopefully, tensions don't raise and he doesn't potentially leave Washington heading into these next couple of years. I would love to see 17 until he officially hangs him up a long time in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Him and Jonathan Allen, I think they both want wins is more important than anything, right, Ryan? Before you get out of here, would you like to plug your social media handle and your show, just in case anyone watching hasn't followed it yet and would like to?
Yeah, Commanding the Huddle podcast is 2 times a week until we head up until the off season. So getting the draft season, there'll probably be 2 a week, but as we move into the summer, once a week. And then my Twitter, if you don't follow me there already, is at _Ryan Fowler. And of course, my written work is housed at Bleacher Report.
My man, Ryan, I can't thank you enough for joining us on this beautiful Sunday evening, sir. Go and enjoy the rest of football, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks,
See
brother.
you, dude.
All right, everybody, we just spoke with the man, Mr. Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report. I almost said it. I know. Yeah, you did almost say it. You missed the show on Thursday, and a couple developments had happened up until that point. But, 2 things I want to get your opinion on because you weren't here last week. One being that Washington having their prices, like they raised them for the season ticket holders.
I don't give a shit. I don't go to the games.
No, you don't. I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
Sucks. If you have enough money to pay for season tickets, it happens. That's the economy. It sucks, and it is kind of a slap in the face to some people. But
and then on Thursday we did Santas Reindeer, meaning that 8 players that will carry this regime, the new GM, over to the next regime, to lead the sleigh, so to speak, into the next season. So who are those 8 players that you would pick? Well, we chose between me, Deuce, and Hall. We picked Cam Curl, Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, Jahan, Ridgeway, Brian Robinson, Tressway, Cosme,
the fuck
and
picked Ridgeway.
I did.
What are you?
I just want to spice things up a little bit. Come on, man.
You got to spice things up. No, I get it. I could have guessed that too. I should have. That was a Kyle.
You should have.
That's a Kyle thing to do.
I should have wrote Jackson Carmen. Then I really would have.
Yeah. That would have been funny. I don't care. Bring him in. Make him start at this point. I don't care. Bring in a local 12-year-old, but him start him on offensive line. I don't care as long as he can play. Honestly, mine would be pretty similar. I mean, did you put John Allen on? I put Allen, even though I mean, I don't like him talking, but at the same time, I do think he's allowed to be frustrated about everything. I would be too. But the most important question is who's Rudolph in that scenario? Who's the one guiding the sleigh?
I would argue that it's Sam Howell.
Same.
That's what I was thinking. The same thing as leading up to that episode. I was like, who's Rudolph?
Yeah. Who's the deformed freak that ends up taking over the world?
Exactly. But before we get into our next guest, Mr. Steve Manella from PFF, always enjoy talking to Steve. Want to get your opinion on this fan question that was submitted into us by Deuce. Deucealicious, not DEU, not our Deuce, right?
Right.
He said, do you think the team will maintain its upward trajectory of ticket sales now that they've raised the price on all new season ticket holders?
I see so many people not happy with it. And I'd be pissed too. I do get it. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a pretty tough question. I would imagine so. I think a lot of people are going to be excited with the new coaching staff, whoever our top 5 pick is going to be. I think people will be excited. Will it last? I think we saw this season it lasted a couple games,
Right.
a few games, and then it kind of died out. So really, I hate to take the cop-out answer, but it depends on the product on the field.
And you are so smart in the way that you said that, because I agree with you. In the short term, I do expect Deuce Delicious for there to be a retraction of the season ticket holder sales. But what I will say this, I think that Josh Harris and Mitchell Rales and Mark Ein, Magic Johnson, they all know this fan base like the back of their hand. And they know with a top 5 pick, with 90 plus million in cap space, with possibly a new head coach and new GM, they know what happens at how quickly you're able to get excitement in this area.
Right.
And when you're able to do that,
Yeah.
I guarantee this fan base will be crawling back by April. I guarantee it.
It'll be faster than that.
Make some exciting moves. What was the reaction when Eric Bieniemy was hired here? I mean, imagine that tenfold with cap space and a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
People could talk all they want. Obviously it is crappy to do before the holidays, but Lord knows that, you might be retracting ticket sales right now in the short term, but I think by April, those same people are going to be going back. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But like I said, all you got to do is just check Twitter, dude. And I say it every week. We have goldfish brain. We forget after a couple days how bad stuff is. And we're like, we actually got a shot this week, dude. We're definitely going to win.
Right.
And that's going to be the same thing. Give it a month. And I guarantee people will be like, did you see this? We had him to this roster. Whoo-hoo, man. We're going to win the NFC East. We're going to surprise some people.
Now, let's go to our next fan question. This one was submitted in our Discord chat from Tim Towner. Thank you, Tim. He said, if you can only sign one max contract free agency player, would you go offensive tackle, edge, linebacker, or cornerback, or something else?
Oh, I would go edge. I would go if Brian Burns or Josh Allen is there, as they're projected to be. They're young, they're athletic, they've proven themselves. I would go that way because, like we talked about, offensive tackle in this draft. I mean, look, there's good edge rushers, obviously, but in the top 5, I think then you can worry about that. And then a little bit later on, maybe in the second round, that's where some of that meat is with some of these edge rushers, the fringe guys. Then you can go that route and you can still get 2 edge rushers. I would say pass rush is so important that I would throw a max contract at one of them boys if they're available.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. But also listening to what Ryan has to say, the linebacker kind of area of field in the draft is very, very short. It's minuscule. Obviously we could talk about Peyton Wilson being there, but that being said, I've seen this where I have these linebacker prospects like that I really enjoy, like Pete Werner. I said that he was the best linebacker coming out of Ohio State that year.
Right.
I really had my eye on him for the 3rd round. The Saints take him in the 2nd. And then all of a sudden your linebacker ability to get them in the draft evaporates. And so you have to have these backup plans. So I would love to be able to say that we could go all towards edge, but I can't guarantee that they'll be able to use the assets in order to get it, right? To get the guys that they need in here for the linebacker. And that's my biggest question. But if I were to go the max contract, I think edge is the right way, because I don't think the cornerbacks that are going to be they're going to be willing to go for a max contract are going to be honestly worth it. They might be older guys like Stephon Gilmore.
There's Jalen Johnson too from the Bears, but is he proven that he's I don't know. I mean, he's good, obviously, but is he even going to be there? It's so much supposed to happen. But I think those premier positions and linebackers we've seen has kind of had a shot in the arm of relevance thanks to the 49ers and Fred Warner and some of these guys. So I do think a lot of good defenses have good linebackers.
But ultimately, I agree with you. I think that if you are going to do one free agent max contract, if there's one position you're going to pick, it would be edge, just because the talent pool is very healthy in that regard. Now we are joined by our next guest, Mr. Steve Manella from PFF. Always enjoy talking to the quarterback guru himself. We've been trying to get you on here. Hard as heck to be able to do so. How busy you are coaching. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good, brother. How about you guys? Great to be back, by the way.
Well, I'm great.
I'm kind of depressed.
Yeah, Reed's depressed because of Washington. You know where we are.
Yeah.
And it's hard to separate the feelings from the show. I can't put those aside. I can't act happy. I'm not happy.
Steve, I know that you're the quarterback guy, but we're not going to get into quarterback just yet. My question to you is, because you are such an intellectual and you understand the structuring of a football team and how important that is, are there some GM candidates / head coaching candidates that you're circling saying this guy would really make sense to bring here to Washington?
Yeah, that's a good question. Way to start it off. But I really like Johnson from Detroit, the
Yeah.
OC. I think he does a really good job of helping out his quarterback, if that makes sense. And I was at first a big fan of Bieniemy at the beginning of the season, but here recently, the last few weeks, I just think that he hasn't helped Sam out a lot. Sam's a guy that can move around in the pocket, little boot, little play action, sprint out action, and he hasn't really done a lot of that. And with the way the O line is, obviously, as we know, is not very good this year. So, and we talked about it before the season even started.
Yeah.
It was going to be very interesting to see how Sam even did. And he's actually played a lot better than a lot of people thought. I think all of us can agree that Sam Howell has played a lot better than maybe we even all thought he would.
So I'm surprised that he's actually healthy still. Like, that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
Me too.
People forget there was like a stretch of like a month of games where everybody was like decided they're like, we don't need to worry about quarterback. Like, Sam is doing unbelievable things, and that guy's still there. It just sometimes things happen. But
so I agree, and I like Johnson a lot. As far as GM go, and he's going to be one of the hot candidates as a coach anyway. Sure. There's going to be plenty of more. And I'm not saying that they got to get. A few weeks ago I was like, we can't get rid of Bieniemy because Howell's playing so well. We got to keep these two together.
Right.
But now I just don't know. I mean, 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, and you're throwing outside out routes, hitches,
dude, a quick hitch.
Right, quick hits, and you have Brian Robinson in the backfield. I'm just not a big fan. I don't understand all that, and I would never say that I'm obviously it's not smart in Eric Bieniemy when it comes to football.
Right.
He knows what the hell he's doing, but just little things like that that kind of gets you like, you're like, man, what was that play calling? What was that about?
So you heard it here. You heard it here first. Pro Football Focus thinks they're better than Eric Bieniemy. You heard it here first.
Right? Yeah. So no, I just think that
to be honest, they are.
No, yeah, and I'm sure Nick. I haven't heard from Nick in a while, but I'm sure he'd agree too that there's just been some inconsistency, right? So, and honestly, when they get rid of the whole staff, which it's coming, we all know it's coming. Typically when you bring a new head coach in and GM, they're going to bring their own guys in. It's very rare to keep the OC from the previous year.
Shout out to Nick Akridge as well. He lost his mother a couple weeks ago. We're all thinking of him. Rest in peace. Bless her heart. And Nick says he's admittedly is a big mama's boy. So he's been hurting. But Nick, we love you, brother. We're all here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, definitely, Nick. Definitely.
What if we had a Jim Zorn situation where we kept Eric Bieniemy as OC and everybody was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want him as my OC. And then we're like, Eric Bieniemy, actually, you're head coach now, so just go ahead and take the reins.
Yeah, that's tough too. I don't know that's we'll see if that Dan Snyder's not here anymore.
Thank God. Yeah.
So thank God. So things are looking up, guys. I mean, if you think about it, we suck, and it is what it is. But think about it. So the Bears won today. That's awesome news. The Jets won. That's good news. Okay. The Patriots just won the other night. So Washington's going to be able to move up. I mean, now think about this. Hear me out, fellas. If we're at the number 2 pick, okay, it's possible. It's probably going to be 3 or 4, but still, number 2. The Bears have the first pick due to Carolina being so bad. Now, Justin Fields has played better last few weeks. Do the Bears really take Caleb Williams? And if they don't take Caleb Williams for some crazy reason, what does Washington do at 2? I mean, so there's going to be a lot.
Damn it, Steve. You're the quarterback guru. And this was my next question I had for you. Because of the draft order, because of the possibility of the quarterback being there, but because quarterback so well with Sam Howell, what would right now, just your gauge as being reality for what it is, we know we have a little bit more time with Sam to impress us, but as of right now, would you feel comfortable with that top 5 pick and strengthening around Sam? Or are you more so going to say, I kind of like the idea of going with a new one?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, right? So if you can it's so hard to find those guys, man. It's so hard. And I think Sam Howell could be a really good quarterback in the NFL, no doubt. He's already proved he can play. So now if you build around him, you can go that route and say, hey, let's build around Sam. Let's see what he can do. Or you could say, we're going to draft Caleb Williams or Drake May, or even now Jaden Daniels, who's a baller, right? Michael Penix, who's a baller. So you got 4 top dogs right up there. And obviously Washington's would have the chance to get one of them.
Yeah, Reed's a big fan of Penix.
Yeah, I believe it. No, he can play though. He really can. All jokes aside, play. So, I don't know though if you could take the kid from Notre Dame, the left tackle, right? If you could take him, but is he Trent Williams? Is he worth that high of a pick? That's another question that the GM's going to have to answer, right? For himself and for the team for the future. Is this left tackle a generational left tackle? Is he Jonathan Ogden? Is he Trent Williams? Is he even? I mean, who knows? Is
Chris
he
Samuels.
even Chris? Yeah, exactly. Is he one of those guys? If he is, then you can take him and build around Sam Howell, or you can even look at offensive trading down a few spots to a quarterback needy team. So they're in a good spot. They just can't win any more games. And as a fan, I hate to see it. It sucks because I root for them every week, just like you guys do. Hell, y'all live there, and so I can see how you guys deal with it. But it sucks, and I hate losing too. But at the same time, why win now? Why win any more games the rest of the season? And I know Mike's not on, but I know if we he says this too. I see him on Twitter. He says all the time. Every year we say this, next year. Well, we got a whole new regime in. So let's kind of maybe we can stay positive. I mean, we've been fans for this shitty team for 30 years. Well, are we going to leave now? I mean, are we going to leave now? Because why would you do that?
Right.
I mean, why would you do that? Who would you guys be fans of anyway? Baltimore? I mean,
no.
Exactly. I'd be stuck with Dallas or Kansas City. I'm good on that, right? So, I'm in the boat of let's see what this new regime can do. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, to be honest. I mean,
the best is yet to come, brother.
Dude, we knew, unfortunately, and I got to remind myself of this 5 times a day. And you just brought me back, dude. I'm 100% back now. We knew this was a possibility the entire time. Like that this season was kind of just going to be a test run. Going to go great. We're going to fall short. Boom, blow it up, start over. Fortunately, we're blowing it up and starting over, but that could be a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of injuries today in the NFL. Justin Herbert just got dinged up on his hand, so he is now out of the game, but I'm not sure if he's coming back or not. But it is kind of crazy.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is a nice guy. But Steve, on Thursday, what we did is we had Santas Reindeer. And so the premise and the idea is that 8 players that would act as Santa's reindeer, i.e. Josh Harris being Santa, to be able to carry this team into next season, to guide them into next season. Who are the 8 players you'd be picking to say, these are the guys you can help build around to start this up?
Yeah, first of all, that's cool. I like that you guys did that. I didn't get to check that out on Thursday, but that's cool of you guys to do that. Good idea. Number one for me has always been Terry McLaurin, even though he can't get open anymore. I don't know what the hell's up with that.
So he's Rudolph.
So So Terry McLaurin, of course, right? I still believe in Terry. Like, let's not get crazy and say he sucks, because he don't. Okay, honestly. So the skill positions: Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, and you're keeping, right? You're going to keep Sam Howell. You got to, because he's been balling this year, even with the no line. He really has played well. Yeah. So you can't just dump him already. Now, obviously, we'll see what happens in the draft. But either way, you got to keep those guys, right? Dotson, I used to really love. He's been real quiet. He's had a couple games, here and there, but he's been kind of quiet. So Cam Curl's another guy I like a lot, right? He can play. We all know he can play.
How much do you think that his contract should be? Because a lot of people are having opinions on what sort of contract Washington should offer Cam Curl. And Steve, in my personal opinion, I think I use history a lot with these football teams, right? Like, in history, the Packers have never had to worry about quarterback, right? With Washington, typically, our left tackles, we've never had to worry about that either. Right, and so that's one, and safety is one of those weaknesses positions for Washington for a very long time. It's ever since Sean passed away, it was one of those positions we could never get long-term consistent good production out of, and now we want to obviously flirt with the idea of moving on from Cam Curl. Well, who's going to step in? And we want to start gambling that position again. Where do you think that his contract should be around?
Yeah, obviously, he deserves to get paid, right? He's played in the league a few years now. He's been Washington's best safety, no doubt. So, is he top 3, top 5 probably in the league? Not right now. Can he has that potential to be that way, though. I really do think that way. I think with a right defensive minded staff too, right scheme, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think he can play. I think he's more of I don't know that he's a free safety type that can go, float around the back end and make big plays on the ball, but he's really a box safety in my opinion. So, and those guys aren't typically as well paid, right? Because they're not the ones making the big Ed Reed splashy plays. But I think he's obviously a part that you want to keep when it comes to a contract. Obviously I think he should be within that realm of like the top 15, 20 safeties in the league. Sure. I mean, he's definitely earned that, I think. And one thing about Cam, he really doesn't miss games. Right. Yeah. So, that's big key. It's big key to stay healthy and at that position. So again, is he really a game wrecker at that free safety position? No, but he could be a really good box safety. And as he gets older and obviously and gets wiser, you can kind of see him play a role maybe like of a Jamal Adams type safety.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All these people keep saying about the free safety bit, and I'm like, why? Because they used him at free safety last week for a handful of plays. Whoever says that he's a free safety, that's not his strength. What they're telling you is that they didn't feel comfortable with somebody playing free safety on that play, so they put Cam there, even though it's not his strength. To your point,
it's a mess, guys. Right. It's a mess. I'm gonna tell you right now, this defense is as bad as I've seen. Like it is a mess. When they
crazy too.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But let's be honest, and we got to call it like it is, right? So Chase Young was traded, and whatever. It sucks that he didn't end up panning out, but he hasn't really done anything in San Francisco. I mean, in 4 games, I looked the other day. In 4 games, he had 1.5 sacks. I mean, so it's not like he was balling out. Now Montez Sweat has played better, for the Bears, but overall though, this defense has just been a nightmare. I mean, it's just the Miami game. We all knew we were going to get torched before the game even started, and hell, the first play of the game or second play of the game too, it throws an 80-yard bomb. So it's just the whole scheme has been rough, and I know Jack Del Rio is more so of playing man, right? And you got to play to your strengths. These safeties and corners are not really man corners. I mean, Kendall Fuller is a good player, but is he really a really good man corner? He really never has been.
No, right? He's always been a zone guy who wants to. When he keeps his eyes in the backfield, that's when he's at his best. When he's able to come up to plays, that's when he's at his best. As soon as you get him turned around, Steve, it's a bad recipe for success. When we saw that Wes Welker video from the meetings before leading up to Washington, and they said, Tyreek, if you're lined up on this guy, and everyone was kind of saying, oh, who is that guy? Dude, it's Kendall. It's Kendall without a doubt. And no disrespect to Kendall, but it's just like you look at the matchup of Tyreek and Kendall, and come on now. You got to have something over top, Steve. But to wrap this up, only have one more question for you, sir. Biggest disappointment so far this season? Obviously, the defense, 32nd in the league in points per game allowed, 32nd in passing yards, 21st in third down after being number 1 in the league last season. What's the biggest disappointment for the season? I know it's hard to pick one.
It is, and I'm going to go to, I think I named maybe 6 guys out of that 8 Reindeer one you said. So the next 2 are the other 2 guys I was going to say to keep. It's Payne and Allen, right? And I love all those guys. Jonathan Allen has been hilarious after games. I know you guys have seen. I mean, that stuff has been hilarious, right? And I'm glad he's pissed off. But where the hell has he been?
Yeah.
I mean, where has Jonathan Allen been? Like, dude, I'm cool that you're pissed and cussing and all this, and it fucking sucks, and I'm tired of this shit. Well, so everyone else is. But like, where has he been? Like Jonathan Allen last year, and even 2 years ago, man, he was making plays. And this season, him and Payne both really, more so Allen, though Payne's played a little bit better, but more so Allen has been kind of MIA, right? So I don't know what has gone on. That's really been the most disappointing to me the whole season was the D-line, because we all always talked about D-line, this D-line stacked and blah, blah. And, hell, the edge guys got traded, which isn't the D tackle's fault, but still they haven't produced at all season. I mean, it's been bad.
Right. Yeah. Only sack production was from the edge guys while they were here. I mean, they were both playing pretty well with
now,
here.
Steve, if you were to tell me, look at these two different scenarios a couple months ago and say, would you rather pay Chase Young or Montez Sweat a top 5 contract in the NFL or trade them for assets and go get a top free agent with those same similar numbers? I'd feel more comfortable with the free agent aspect of it, just being completely honest with you, with the added assets there. But Steve, I can't thank you enough for joining us, man. You know, it's so hard to be able to get you on here. You're so freaking busy and good at what you do. Before we get out of here, if you like to plug your social media handle, just in case anybody watching hasn't followed you yet, would like to, brother.
Yeah, I'm at Twitter, Coach Manella, QB Impact, Coach Manella. We do it. Coach Tom George, and I. Which I need to get you guys hooked up with him. He needs to get on here. He's a big Cowboy fan, but whatever.
It's okay.
He knows quarterback.
My boyfriend's gay too.
He knows quarterback even at a way higher level than I do. So maybe we can get him on here. But anyways, we're at QB Impact here in Oklahoma as well. But we're all over the U.S. So training guys all over.
Love hearing about quarterbacks. Busy. Yeah,
absolutely.
Appreciate
talking quarterbacks.
Hey, can't thank you enough, Steve.
Y'all too. Hey, have a great rest of the day.
Hey, you do it. Have a happy holiday, Steve. We'll get you back on here soon, brother.
All right. Hey, hopefully the Eagles and Cowboys both lose. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Hey, you too, man. Appreciate it. Peace. All right, everybody. We just spoke with a man, Mr. Steve Manella. I appreciate him. I just love the fact that he asked us the question I was going to ask him.
Yeah. Great minds, Kyle. That's what they say. You've seen that all throughout history.
Yeah, you saw Ryan Fowler, like, he had the exact same thing that I said about Joe Alt and Olu. And my goodness, you're absolutely right about that. Now, next question in the Discord. This is from Tim Towner. As Washington races to the bottom, who do you see winning the NFC?
Winning the NFC in general?
Yes.
Oh, that's a tough one. It's going to be between the Eagles and 49ers. Of course, the Cowboys are good too. But you know what? I'm just going to go with the 49ers. I think the 49ers, you just look at their core group of guys. I mean, Brock Purdy is an MVP candidate, despite what anybody says right now. They've got fantastic playmakers. They have Trent Williams, obviously, and then you look at their defense. They have Nick Bosa. They have Fred Warner. Like they have studs over there on the defense as well. So I feel like you just gotta. I hope that the 49ers I hope that it's not the Cowboys or Eagles that wins the NFC. That's what I'm just gonna say. You know?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would agree with you. I think
most people probably everybody.
Yeah, because with the Cowboys, obviously they're playing very well right now. Michael Parsons listed with an illness possibly, but he is supposed to play tonight. But they've been very lucky in regards to the injury bug. Obviously, their offensive line has been dinged up, but they've never had to lose Micah. They have never lost that attacking style of their front four defensively. So as long as that can be effective, they will go far. But that being said, will it work against the 49ers in the playoffs? Obviously, the 49ers beat the Cowboys in the regular season, but in the playoffs, it's a different animal. So I do think that the 49ers should win the NFC. They are the most well-built team in the NFC right now. They play like it. You don't see them constantly struggling.
They might be the most well-built in the NFL.
Yeah,
honestly.
You don't see them struggling in these
games.
games. Like, they more so have a good leg up on everything. Like, it's almost like they play every game up 7, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't even talk Kittle, and they have a Ayuk, and that's so funny. I know I've said that joke time and time again, but it's so funny that they have a wide receiver whose last name is the sound that Goofy makes. But then also like Deebo Samuel, like they have so many good guys, and you should like that a lot, Kyle, because the fact that they have good guys and they have a white running back that's very good. I know that's a big thing for you. So I hope the 49ers dominate.
Now the next question from the Discord is from Arch Deluxe. He said, do you think some professional athletes try to find the craziest fit possible to enter an arena just to see how far they can go and fans still like it, and then sit back and laugh about it? Side note, I miss Southeast Jerome and all the other Portis characters.
Yeah. So I've definitely thought that, especially like NBA and NFL, guys go out of their way. I don't know whether these guys are, I'm not young, hip, and cool anymore. I don't know about fashion. I don't understand why Kyle Kuzma zipped his face up in a pink whatever sweatshirt with a hood that zips all the way up and is walking in with fishnet shorts. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I guess I just don't understand fashion. But they have to. Kyler Murray walked in the other day wearing something weird, and as he does often, and it's just like, why? The only reason you'd wear stuff like that is to be a meme, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of any other reason. But yeah, NFL and NBA, they're notorious for it, I think.
Yeah, that, and also I'm sure that they have friends that have in the industry, people that want to promote their stuff, and they want to say, "Oh, put that on me," and I'll do something crazy with it, and people ask about it, and that way your product will be put out there. It's almost like the red carpet, and you'll probably slowly see that turn into with the NFL, where the actual introduction to the red carpet is the spectacle of what everyone is wearing, and this is the continued trend. Because Art sent in the also video of Odell Beckham showing up with his crazy outfit today.
Oh, well, we know why Odell's wearing
but
something
like
crazy.
the funny thing is like everyone wants to be Dion. But Dion actually dressed masculine, and he actually looked really like he made it cool. Everyone wanted to be Dion, and I think this is what people are trying to do today. But they do it with a wrong mindset involved, because it just, it's just haha, that's it.
Also, I mean, if I had millions of dollars and a camera always on me, I can't say that I wouldn't wear something ridiculous either, just because. But that would be like a Myles Garrett thing. Like Myles Garrett does it funny. Myles Garrett will walk in like a full Vecna costume from Stranger Things, and you're like, sick. That guy gets it. And he's 6'4", 285 pounds of just pure muscle. Like it's funny. I don't know, but some of these guys, I'm like, come on.
Yeah, you'd show up in like you'd show up in the whole leather outfit and be like, sorry, it was laundry day.
Yeah, it's turning into one of those things where it's like just. Like where guys score and they used to do celebrations and old people used to get so pissed at it. They'd be like, come on, just play the game. Just play the goddamn game.
Yeah.
It's turning into that. It's like,
and the funny thing is, like, I was thinking about this all week, because I would get on Benjamin St. Just about his like post celebration.
Yeah, he's another one. Well, he's a bad dresser too, though.
The post celebration thing, like after every play and everything. But like my whole thing is, when you look at the Dolphins and their touchdown celebration of the roller coaster, that is a team celebration. They did it together. How often do you see Washington ever having those sort of team celebration? Like it's not ever like they're like preparing for those sort of things. Like it's never a pedestal of comfortability to say, I know we're going to score. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, did you see those clips of from the in-season Hard Knocks of the Dolphins in the meeting room about Washington's defense?
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Manella about. Yeah,
like it's so like they knew, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that we knew too, and I think ultimately that's what John Allen is complaining about, because he knows what's happening here. I know what's happening here. And he doesn't like it. He doesn't like doing whatever the hell we're doing now.
Right.
But I understand why we're doing it for the long term. And I understand why John Allen doesn't want to be here for that and have to go through this, because his do-rag is getting hot. You know what I'm saying? He's like pissed off.
Yeah.
I get it.
No, I do too. And I'm always so reactionary. I don't take a second to think. So like when he said that, I was instantly like, fucking trade him then. You don't want to be here. But at the same time, it's just like, he really didn't even say anything wrong. He's like, yeah, think about it 100%. Why wouldn't he think about it? Dude, who wants to go from Alabama, where you're winning national titles every year, to this, where you've lost for 7 straight years? You know, like I don't blame him. And it's a dumpster fire right now.
It's not a dumpster fire.
It's a dumpster fire.
This isn't the Scott McCloughan situation. All right, you know.
No, that wasn't even a dumpster fire. This is a dumpster. The way we're playing on the field is a dumpster fire. I'll say that. I'm not saying everything going on.
Yes.
Product on the field has been a dumpster fire.
You are absolutely right about that. I cannot argue that.
The other stuff, we actually have hope. Like that's good.
Yes, which is weird, because it's like a flip side for us. Usually it was hope on the field, but then off the field there was no hope.
Can I tell you something super funny that happened to my coworker on Friday? And it's the funniest thing that I've ever seen happen. So my coworker, I'm not going to say his name or anything, because sometimes he'll watch. He's the man. I love him. He's been smelling really bad lately, like very bad, and none of us know how to approach it. None of it was like me, my boss, and his wife were all in the office, and we didn't know how to approach it. So for weeks we're like my boss was like trying to leave with little hints, like it's bad. Like he sits on your chair for 5 minutes and it stinks the whole day. And so finally we're all in my office, and everybody comes in, we just close the door, they turn and look at him, and he's like, but my boss's wife's like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, like we all have noticed an odor and it's coming from you. You got to do something. And the whole time he's just looking like he had no idea. And then like the things that were said, it was just so funny. I was like, sometimes I'll think you're behind me because I'll smell you, and I turn around and you're not there. You're on the other side of the warehouse. And It was so bad. Even the guy who picks up the shirts noticed it and said something to us. And then so like I was just thinking, and like I almost had to walk out because I was laughing. Not because like I felt bad, genuinely, like I care about the dude. And, like I hope that there's nothing like medical going on, but like I almost had to leave because I started thinking, I was like, dude, if I was him right now and people cornered me in an office to tell me how bad I smell, I would just be like, yeah, okay, yeah, thanks for telling me. Yeah. And I'd walk out of that door, delete every number. Obviously, I would never return. I would pack my stuff and I would be like, I'm moving to a new town. I'm starting over. I messed up here. I can't show my face anymore. I just got to pray that I take better care of myself and stop smelling in this new town and just start over.
Oh, my goodness. No, it's funny because one of my coworkers had that same similar issue because he had a big thing about deodorant because he said that it causes cancer, which is not necessarily wrong. There is some studies that say, right? But it was becoming a problem at work, and he wasn't around us, but I pulled up outside of a job site with Gene, who was on this show. And Gene was there, and Gene was really mad at him at the time. And Gene gets out of the car. We're in the middle of Bethesda, in the middle of the street, and nobody's around us. And he looks at me and he goes, "Where's that mofo at? I could smell him from here."
It's like Bigfoot. Yeah, you know he's been there. Dude, I will say the dude. On. That's funny. I will say the dude did have like he took it well, and like afterwards, just because it was the end of the day, we set up a ping pong table sometimes. And at the end, when we have time to kill, we play ping pong. And I won this game first time in a while because he's really good. And he looks at me, he's like, "Oh man, I lost. I guess that means I stink." And I was like, "Damn, that was good. That's funny." I was like, "You do, but take care of that. Seriously, it's very,
but seriously, take care of that.
It's ruining our lives. Seriously.
Whatever you do, just wash your hands.
Whatever you do, just do the exact opposite."
All right, everybody, that's gonna wrap us up for this episode. I can't thank you enough. But I want to say, if you can say a prayer for the Colonel, for my wife and her family. Her grandfather is not in the best health right now. Obviously, the Colonel, it's his father. And one of prayers out to him. You know, he lost his mom a year ago. And during the holiday season, this is rough. So prayers with you, Colonel.
Definitely.
We're thinking of you, man. We love you guys.
Yeah.
Poppy is okay. And we'll continue to pray. We appreciate all of you guys. If you made it this far, you are a freaking champion. Really do love you guys. All right. I'm Kyle.
No. I don't know who I am anymore. I'm Kyle Ronick.
There you go. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday. Make sure you don't miss it. And Hall slept through this episode. He just texted me. It's all good. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday. Washington football. Woo!
Hopefully.
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.